Hey guys, Sethley here back with another SquadCast podcast. This is episode number 18. Thank you guys for watching and listening. As always, I'm joined by iLoot Games, J Miles, and Quad MFT. We've got some pretty cool topics to go over, as well as we're doing a new type of thing in the podcast we haven't done before. It's going to be a segment where we actually answer more than one SquadCast podcast question. So if you guys want to be in the next podcast and get your question answered and a little shout out, make sure to comment down below with the hashtag question and you have the chance to get in the next podcast. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into it. So as we're recording this, an update pretty much just went out. It wasn't a huge update. It was more like just like a shadow patch or whatever you want to call that. They've really only changed two things, at least that as they only told us they changed two things, but it all had to do with map rotation. So they actually removed Kings Canyon after dark, and they lowered the time for Kings Canyon in rotation. So I want to hear you guys' opinions on those changes, because they literally said that they made those changes specifically because they were listening to the community's feedback. So what do you guys have to say about that?
I think it was a great decision, a great choice, and a great update, because it's been very apparent all over Twitter and that people hate Kings Canyon now. People are sick of the third parties.
Hate Kings Canyon all over? Really?
Yeah. In general? Well, I don't want to say in general. I mean, people love the fact, Kings Canyon is like the OG map. But if you go on Twitter, people are so mad that the tournaments are on Kings Canyon. People hate that ranked is on Kings Canyon. People are like really livid about it. So because the third parties are just so much worse. And so, I think it's a good thing because so many people were complaining about it. I don't really think anyone was enjoying night mode Kings Canyon. I mean, I sure wasn't. It was very annoying to play. It was just kind of felt very, what do you want to say, recycled over and over again. I was just really sick of seeing Kings Canyon after dark. And I also felt like it was just another way to keep us on Kings Canyon rather than being able to enjoy the Newtown takeover. So I'm glad that they took the night mode out, and I'm glad that they shortened Kings Canyon because people were wanting to play World's Edge a lot more. And from World's Edge, when World's Edge was the main map, and then Kings Canyon was like the old map that we kept playing LTMs on, I'll have to say I really was excited to play Kings Canyon. But now that we've had mostly Kings Canyon, I can honestly say I do think World's Edge is a better map. I definitely do agree that pro players will probably always be happier on World's Edge just because the rotations make a little bit more sense and the third parties work out a lot better. So I'm glad that they're actually letting us play World's Edge more, and also I get to enjoy the Newtown takeover a little bit more. So I'm happy about the change for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you on that pros will definitely favor and really like the fact that they did this because World's Edge does have better rotations. But the one thing that I want to focus on the fact that they did this and by removing Kings Canyon after dark and lowering the time for Kings Canyon rotation, even while this whole disease virus spread is going around, they're still managing to listen to the community and give us what we want, which is so cool. And I gave them props on Twitter, and I'm giving them props now. It's so cool to see that they're still actually actively going after and making the game better. And I'm really happy they removed Kings Canyon after dark. That was a very smart choice. I would almost just sit out for 30 minutes and just not play that.
Exactly.
when after dark was going on. So yeah, big shout out to Apex and Respawn and the EA for getting these changes out during this whole crazy pandemic.
And one thing that I thought of that I think really I just thought of it right now is that we were all pointing out the doors on the Kings Canyon after dark. Well, obviously that's not the spot the teaser is going to be because that map is gone. So we can
but that doesn't mean it's nothing. That doesn't mean it means nothing though. They're like, do you think they added Kings Canyon after dark in there for absolutely no reason? Or just like variety? It wasn't for anything to do with that? You don't think that had to do with
Well, they wouldn't. What I'm saying is they wouldn't take it out though if that's going to be the teaser.
Well, it's not like the teaser. Well, at least the way I thought of it when I first found out about it, and when I saw that, who was it? It was Jason McCord, right? Obviously someone who works at Respawn, who replied to somebody who was asking him about those with a gif of Dwight Schrute doing that like shush thing. Maybe, I guess he was just trolling. I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that we can eliminate it now as being something. because the map is gone. So we don't have to really.
But then why
that.
were they added though? I mean, we don't have to focus on it because I honestly don't think it will be anything, since personally I think most of the map changes and the teaser and all that is going to be over by labs and in some other areas. But why would they add those 2 doors then, do you think?
I have no idea.
Yeah, honestly, if it does
weird.
end up being nothing, then maybe obviously Jason McCord was just doing the GIF replying to that tweet just because he knew they were real, but they weren't, like, they were new, I mean, but they didn't mean anything. Like, he was just saying, like, they are new.
Yeah, maybe he was just trying to say, hey, just overlook it, forget you ever saw it, and just move on.
To be honest, yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, in the end, it never really was anything. I mean, like, 2 random doors, awesome, great, they were added. Like, what is that?
Yeah, a lot. And I think the main reason is because a lot of people were so convinced that that's where the new map update for Kings Canyon was going to be, is over by Hydro Dam, and it definitely doesn't look that way now that we've had more time to look over the diagram and some other teasers and things like that. So I'm not sure. I agree. I think it's a little odd that the doors were added and just all for nothing to mean nothing. Maybe they were just like maybe they were just kind of to throw us off to see if we could understand the diagram and maybe if we could find out what the truth was, but I'm not sure. I think it definitely was a little weird.
Most definitely. But I did want to talk about one other thing that not really many people have talked about. At least the only person I've seen talk about it is the gaming merchant. If you guys didn't know who he is, which I'm sure you guys do, he's a YouTuber, Apex, for Apex Legends. He makes pretty good videos, so make sure to check him out. But he did actually make a video a while back about Octane's hitbox. Now, I had previously, before that, I made a video about Revenant's hitbox because I noticed that one was really bad, but I just recently remembered this Octane broken hitbox, and I don't know why they haven't fixed it. I just wanted to talk to you guys about it because it clearly is pretty big. Because the problem, we'll show the picture on screen right now. Shout out to the gaming merchant for that picture, because he went in and he literally did like pixel by pixel of the hitbox, and clearly it's pretty dang big. So I do want to hear your guys' opinions on that.
I actually didn't see what was so broken about it, but I know one thing, like, if it's that broken, I don't think it's too crucial and it's too big of a deal. Like, it's not the same as, if you guys remember season 1, maybe it was early season 2. There was a time when Pathfinder's hitbox was bad because it was too much, and then there was a time where it was like too small. And if you guys remember, Pathfinder was so good that the fact he had a very small hitbox, it was completely broken. But I feel like with Octane, he's not as good of a character, period. So like if his hitbox is like too small, then it's not a big deal. But if it's too big, then it is a big deal. So I think that if it's something that's too big, which is, I guess it looks like on the picture right here, his hitbox is way bigger than his head.
Way too big.
That's just insane. That's just completely uncalled for. Like that's something that's got to be fixed, because Octane's already, on the lower end of the spectrum with his abilities, and I just think that they can't. But considering he's just so much fun to play and he's such a fun character, he at least needs to have a proper hitbox. You know what I mean? So that's something that's got to be fixed. That is really broken.
Yeah, I mean, Octane is obviously not the strongest character, probably not even in the top 5 or even close, but him already being at that disadvantage and having a messed up hitbox that's way too big compared to his actual size, that's even more of a downside of Octane, and more of a reason not to play Octane, which sucks because Octane is a really fun and exciting character to play.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But even if his hitbox was perfectly fine, to be honest, I would still think he needs a buff. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everybody else on the call would agree with that. So I want to know what you guys would buff about Octane. I've seen a few concepts on Reddit. I don't really remember exactly what they were, but I have a few of my own. I personally think his passive at least needs a little bit more of I guess, speed. It needs to heal him faster passively, because I always think it doesn't really heal enough. It goes every 2 seconds, like 1 HP. I don't know the exact numbers and all that, but that's one thing I think could be changed about Octane to make him better. What do you guys think could be changed?
I don't really mean
his
to...
hitbox.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah,
his hitbox.
Yeah, his hitbox needs to be fixed. Yeah, for sure. I don't really mean to jump ship here, but the only like the best buff I could think of is actually something that somebody asked in a question that we'll actually still cover in a few minutes. But someone actually said, "What do you think about Octane's buff to where his jump pad would be giving him a level 2 ultimate that shoots him high enough to redeploy of 100 meters?" Like that, like if you think about it, like Fortnite has a little launch pad where you can jump on it and then it, you know, gives you your parachute and stuff. That would be cool if Octane's little jump pad could shoot you high enough to where you could redeploy. Now it doesn't have to be as high as the balloon, obviously. That would be kind of crazy, but I think it would be nice to at least let you fly a good distance away, maybe enough, just like a portal would for Wraith. So I just feel like his launch pad right now, as soon as he takes it, is very, very easy to laser him out of the sky if you have pretty good accuracy. So I just think it would be better if it would be more of like a redeploy thing where he just shoots up a little higher and maybe can fly a little further. So that would be my buff.
Going off that, I kind of want to say that, like, yeah, his jump pad, I completely agree with your idea. I think that's a really good way to buff Octane, but it should like straight up launch him in the air and not like in an arced formation, launch him like whatever 100 feet in the air, and then he can glide or fly to wherever he wants to go. I think that would be a good addition to Octane.
Definitely. I mean, honestly, I couldn't really think of too many other things to change about him. Like maybe I would say use his stim faster, but you can already use it immediately. I don't know. Maybe he needs like some sort of passive similar to the fortified and what's it called? There's fortified, and then what's the opposite of the one? It was just changed. It was removed off
Low
Revenant.
profile.
Low profile.
Low profile, yeah.
Thank you. Maybe they could add something just for Octane. Maybe add like a little addition to his passive. Obviously, they've just done that previously with Lifeline. So there's a chance they could do that, and that might be the way to go.
Oh, yeah.
They added the extra loot for Lifeline. So who's to say they wouldn't change something about Octane's passive, which I personally, I think that is probably where I would go for, because to like at least change, because not much else. I mean, if you change anything else in his kit, I don't really, obviously, besides like small changes, or if you were to add anything else new to his kit, I feel like that would
be changing him too
you're
much.
Changing him too much. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Because that's Octane. He's got his stim. He's jumping everywhere.
I agree.
So you're saying that they should just buff his kit in general, not add anything like
No, I think if they were to only add something new, they should add something new to his passive. Most definitely don't think they should add something new to his tactical. I don't even, or like completely change his tactical. I genuinely don't know what they would do. So that's just my opinion on that. I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that, since obviously his hitbox, when I saw that, I was like,
yeah, I didn't realize it was that broken. That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Well, at least I did see on Twitter, somebody tweeted it at Monster Clip Respawn, which is his ad. That's Jason McCord, the design director at Respawn for Apex Legends. They tweeted at him, and he said he does know about it, or they know about it. So they're working on it. I assume he didn't say they're working on it, but they know about it.
Yeah, surely.
Hopefully in the next patch that they didn't already have shipped. Once like he replied, obviously we had already had a patch come out really soon before he said this, so I'm assuming, at least hoping, that the latest his hitbox and Revenant's hitbox will be fixed is the next patch, but which is probably a long time from now, to be honest.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, I doubt we'll have any other update, to be honest. Season 5 has come so close. I mean, is a few weeks away?
We're literally like 2 weeks. Yeah, we're literally like 2.5 weeks, probably. I'd say maybe 3 weeks away.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. If we get it on time.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, I'm not too sure if we've talked about this on the podcast. I know we talked about it in a call. I think it was Garza or somebody who worked at Respawn tweeting out saying like he'll have a party or something or drinks on him if they get season 5 out on time. So that's scary. I'm scared to be honest. But if it ends up not coming out on time, I honestly can't be mad at them.
No.
And the thing is, I'm saying this because people, if that does happen, people will be mad. And it's like, man, what are you saying? Come on. You realize they're working, they completely changed where they work. Probably not as many, I don't know. I just think everything that's going on, you can't expect the same exact thing.
That's why I was so impressed with them putting out this little sort of, I guess you could call it an update with the map rotation changes. I was hyped to see that, to show that they're still working. So I think they're probably still working on season 5 and trying to get it out on the release date as hard as they can.
You just know that they're definitely scrambling right now, trying to get this done and get this out on time. And so, like, you know, if they can't get it out on time, they have a very viable, good excuse. I mean, we can't really hold them too much against it because they are put in a pretty odd predicament. So it's something that I feel like everyone needs to have a little bit more grace with them on this certain aspect when it comes to being able to release it on time.
For sure.
But yeah, so also one thing we wanted to talk about is the new release of Valorant. I'm pretty sure you guys have definitely heard of it by now. A lot of you probably also been playing it, but we wanted to talk about Valorant and just kind of give our little feedback and our input on what we think of Valorant and how it will affect Apex. I know a lot of people, including myself, have been talking about how is it going to hurt Apex? How is it going to benefit Apex or any kind of in between? And so we wanted to talk about that. And first off, I wanted to say, I guess I'll go first on this, is a lot of people have been complaining about Valorant, saying from the Apex community, saying that, oh, it's just a CSGO and Overwatch combination. It's just CSGO and Overwatch mix. But one thing you got to realize is, first off, Apex is not going to die. And second off, Valorant will be successful. It's as simple as that. Like, a lot of people are saying Valorant's going to die. Just give it a couple months. It's just like CSGO. But their plan in
just like CS:GO, it's been going. CS:GO's been banging for 8 years. Yeah. Come on,
their plan in this was to take the good from Overwatch, the good from CS:GO, and make a game that was the best of both worlds. And that's why it's so successful. Like, there's no problem with that. So people are trying to use the CS:GO Overwatch as if it's a negative when it's not. Like, that's the whole point of their game. Like, that's what they wanted it to be. They wanted people to feel like they're getting a character-based game, but with the 5v5 CS:GO feel of the gunplay. And that's why it's so successful. So it's just kind of weird how people are trying to use that as a negative against Valorant. But then also you've got people that are saying that Valorant's going to kill Apex. And what you got to realize is that people, the BR and Valorant are two different, like, there's completely two different games. And people have, like, I think Loot was even saying, you know, Loot is just so, like, he enjoys the fast-paced Apex, and people will have that opinion. People like the fast-paced, and they're going to stick with Apex. Some people like both. Some people want to switch and go in between. Some people just want to completely commit to Valorant. Like, people have their right to play whatever game they want to play, and everyone has a different opinion. So neither game is going to die. They're both going to continuously be successful. And that's just my opinion on it. I think it is a really good game, though.
I definitely agree with you on that one. I mean, like, ever since Valorant has like been in the conversation on Twitter and the community of just gaming in general, I guess, people have just been talking about, like, what game is going to die because of Valorant, or just how Valorant's going to take over a lot of things. Now, I personally don't believe Valorant will hurt CS:GO at all, as well as I don't think it will really hurt Apex. Maybe a few people will switch over. Like, I just don't think it's really going to affect those communities. Maybe CS a little bit, but it's still very different, in my opinion, just because of the utility aspect and all those abilities, as well as it's kind of, I don't know, when I literally played a CS:GO game right after I played a Valorant game, and I personally think CS:GO is way harder. I'm not sure if that's just me, but Valorant does seem a bit easier than CS:GO, as well as
agree.
Okay, thank you. It's not just me, but I don't know, the whole look of it as well. I don't personally really think about it when I play games, but a lot of people decide like what type of game they like based on how it looks and if it's realistic. Obviously, Fortnite being the opposite and things like that. And CS:GO is pretty dang realistic, I would say, compared to Valorant at least.
Oh yeah.
So the only game, if I were to say, is gonna die is Overwatch, but Overwatch is pretty much already dead as far as I know. So I think it might just like, finish them off. But
yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I definitely don't think it's gonna affect the Apex community. But I am still gonna play it. I love it. I'm not gonna stop playing Apex, but I really do enjoy Valorant. I'm definitely gonna be playing it like on the side when I want to get like a little bit more competitive aspect. Obviously, I can play ranked in Apex, but it's a bit different, the feel, because I mean, a 5v5 S&D type game or mode, whatever you want to say, that's the classic competitive esport, at least for FPSs. Yeah, exactly. So I definitely think it has its place, at least for me. But I mean, I just like those type of FPSs, 5v5s, and I always liked League of Legends. I'm not too sure if anybody knew this at all, but it was my first PC game ever, and I played it for a long time. I really liked it. Obviously, my second was CS:GO, big switch, but I think it's kind of stupid to compare Valorant to Riot, or not to Riot, to League, but it definitely does have a similar feel with the abilities, and as well as the one thing I just kind of thought about, I feel like CS:GO, or not, excuse me, Apex Legends abilities are really different than Valorant abilities.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly like you can tell that Valorant, the abilities in Valorant were made by the same people that made League of Legends, because the abilities that they give are like they're just based differently. Like Apex's are more like fast-paced movement, grappling across the map or setting a portal to teleport you to another side, while I feel like a lot of Valorants are more like tactical, like smokes, stunning, slowing, and so things like that. So I definitely think it keeps the gunplay aspect more important, while the abilities are still viable, if that makes sense. So like with Wraith, like in Apex, you have to have you literally have to have you have to be able to count on your abilities, and the same thing goes for Valorant, but it's not near as much, because you can still 1v5 someone without using your abilities. Like you can just one tap everybody with the Vandal and call it a day. While in Apex, you're not just going to stand still and just 1v3 the squad. You're going to have to use your tactical to get out of a sticky situation. You're going to have to use your grapple to get out of a bad situation or something like that. So you have to use those abilities. You have to really rely on them. And I feel like with Valorant, you can rely a little bit more on your gun skill, which is kind of cool. So I definitely like that aspect of it. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in what you think, Caleb, about that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I've got a lot to say on this. I started out playing CS:GO, so I have a lot of experience with games like CS:GO.
What do you mean? You started with
that's when I got really into gaming. Call of Duty, yeah, Call of Duty was my first time, but I spent the most time I've spent on the game is definitely Counter-Strike, CS:GO. So I've been doing really well in Valorant. I enjoy it, but to compare it to Apex, I mean, they are the same genre, as in they're both FPSs, but one is a battle royale and one is a 5v5 S&D. Like it's completely different. I don't think it's going to kill Apex at all. I mean, it's not like playing games are mutually exclusive. It's not like you can only play Valorant or you can only play CS:GO or only play Apex. You can still, they're not mutually exclusive. You can still play both games. But I have been enjoying Valorant a lot, especially because I have so many thousands of hours on CS:GO, but I still love Apex. I really do. And they're totally different. I think they can totally coexist together.
And what I would say is that if Counter-Strike didn't kill Apex and Overwatch didn't kill Apex, then Valorant's not going to kill Apex. Because like you guys said, it's just a combo of the two. It's completely different. It's not, I mean, unless you're a big time Valorant player, it's not going to be extremely entertaining to watch it compared to Apex because the pace is slower. But there's tons of people, there's more people watching Counter-Strike on Twitch than there is people watching Apex. So that argument, I guess, really doesn't stand if when the player base is so huge for the game, they enjoy seeing it. They enjoy seeing the high skill level. The only issue I see is from a creator standpoint is there's not going to be huge content changes like there is with Apex. Apex is constantly trying to keep your attention as a player, and that gives content creators stuff to report on, to make stuff about, rather where Valorant, it's not going to be the same. It's more going to be about the skill level, like with Counter-Strike. And yeah, you're going to have skins. They have gun skins like that, but they're not going to have events. They're not going to be having map changes and all, introducing new characters all the time. It's going to be completely different. So it's a way different audience. I think the game is very well done. I've had a crack at it. I've played Counter-Strike since like 1.3, I believe, where it looked horrible and it looked very similar to Valorant. Look how it looks now, where CSGO is very realistic. And that's my opinion on it. I don't enjoy it as much as these guys, but that's because my aim's not like these guys anymore. I'm a boomer, so.
Do you think age really has like a huge effect on that aim?
No, I don't know. I don't think age has a huge effect on it, because I'm around the same age as a lot of the top pros. I think what has a huge effect on it is that I didn't play FPS games for like 10 years straight. Like this isn't, while you guys you're still on that peak of when you're playing compared to me, where I took a huge break, and it wasn't as important to me. Work stuff was more important to me than gaming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But let's get on to, I would say, a segment or a section of the podcast, because it is, spoiler alert, I mean, people have asked us to say this before, because some people obviously don't want to get spoiled about leaks or whatever has been found by data miners, because they want to be surprised, which obviously I think most of you guys want to hear the leaks. At least I would think so.
I do.
But I did want to cover a few things. I've covered these in a few videos, or a video, and I just wanted to get your guys' opinions on them, because I heard a lot of opinions in my comments, but I want to know what you guys think. So there's that hologram that was leaked, and it clearly has, I guess it's not technically, no, it is a hologram. I don't know what I'm saying. It kind of looks like 3 different banners that if you put together, they form the hologram. Is that right, Luke? Is it a banner, like in the files?
I don't think it's a banner. I think that's just how it's stored in the files. I think it's going to be one complete.
Yeah, okay. Because it's like all segmented up. But when you put it all together, you get something pretty cool. Obviously being Wraith Labs, the town takeover that we got in Season 2. Looks like there is a new addition to the back room, at least what the diagram or whatever of the labs says. There's an extra room, as well as there's a huge circle thing. It's green. I just want to know where you guys think this will be, or if it'll be like a huge big map addition. What do you guys think about that? And I think
with this little diagram thing, I had a viewer of mine do a lot of work before a lot of people started to figure it out. So that's why I'm giving him a lot of credit for it, because this is not like him just finding it on Twitter or someone else's opinion. I think it was a couple days ago, he actually spent like 6-7 hours in Cinema 4D drawing out things over by Hydro Dam where we thought this would be with the doors. And he actually started to look at the diagram a little bit better and a little bit more intensively, and saw where this little triangular shape was being formed near wetlands. So right on the backside of the portal, there's 3 satellites. There's one in Relay. I think there's 2 in Relay actually, and then one in wetlands, a little tower, and they all kind of form and make a triangular shape. But on that's on the real map. Now on the diagram, there's also that same shape, but it's a little bit rotated, and there's some objects that you see over there that's it's a little bit different than what we see in the traditional wetlands and Relay right now. And so that's why he said, hey, Miles, I don't think it's actually going to be in Hydro Dam. I think it'll actually be in wetlands and Relay. And so when he gave me that and he started showing me all these pictures that he made, it was like, wow, like you really started to see what he was talking about. And then soon after that, after he told me that, there was a lot of people posting it on Twitter, a lot of people saying the same thing of, hey, we think it's going to be in wetlands. Hey, we think it's going to be wetlands, relays, that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of shocked by it. I don't think anyone was really expecting an update to wetlands and relay, although it's kind of needed. I don't think wetlands or relay has really ever changed since the start of the game. Like I don't think it's ever been altered at all. So maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe somebody will have to correct me, but I don't believe it's ever changed at all. So it'll be kind of nice to see something new over in that corner of the map. And I'm sure as well, along with this little map update, if this is what it is, if we are correct about this, I do believe there will be some other map changes we just don't know yet. So this is maybe just like a little part 1 teaser, and maybe some of these other guys know a little bit more about that. So yeah, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, it's not confirmed. Everything we're talking about here is based on like our opinions on stuff that isn't even confirmed, that's in the files. But I was wondering, like, this hologram clearly seems to be a part of the teaser, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be all of the map changes. So do you guys think with season 5 they're gonna bring just purely, obviously, map changes to Kings Canyon based on the leak we see right here, but also, what do you guys think they'll do to World's Edge, if they do anything? And then also, just to say this because a lot of people were commenting on my video that they were sad there's not going to be a new map, which there could be. We may have no clue about it, and they're going to surprise everybody, the biggest surprise of all time, a new map. But so what do you guys think about those things? Do you think they'll change World's Edge, and do you think there's any chance of a new map?
There's definitely a chance. I mean, there's always a chance of a new map. I mean, you can't count it out. I'd say I would bet that it isn't going to be, but some people would bet that there is. There's definitely a chance, but as far as the changes go, I think they'll make some changes, but not too many, nothing crazy. But I can't predict the futures.
What about?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that they've kept the maps for, or at least the pattern so far has been 2 seasons on Kings Canyon, and then of course we can assume that 2 seasons on World Edge, but we don't know that for sure. As it comes to things in the files, we don't have any information that suggests that there's going to be a new map, and I think really sadly, because of all the pushback that they got when it went to World's Edge and people complaining, that it might be like that they're reluctant to introduce a new map, especially when they're not in the office and have to deal with all these people and their pushback and all the Twitter hate and the Twitch streamers freaking out. So, and professionals too haven't, and I haven't heard of anyone going in for playtesting for a new map, but you never know. They're really good at keeping secrets, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about that. You mentioning that, I haven't heard anything either. And exactly, I think there was quite a lot of backlash. I don't know if there was backlash with World's Edge. I guess there was. People were complaining
there
about
was
there
was
a lot of hate.
People were complaining about the loot spread. Definitely, they fixed that pretty well. As well as, I don't know, I personally wanted a new map back then, but they're definitely overall bringing a new map to the game is a huge endeavor. I know they were working on season 3 since before Apex was even released. I know they had it all planned out and all that. Obviously not exactly, but they had the general idea.
Yeah, I mean, they've already started talking about like they're testing things for season 6, 7, and 8. So I mean, they're way ahead of the game. But I also had a lot of people saying that they believe that there's going to be a new map, because if you go back and watch the season 4 launch trailer, they had a lot of little cutscenes of showing outside of a window. Like there was whenever Revenant pulls the little thing out of his neck, and then it just kind of like clips out to the window, and there's a city. Obviously we don't play on this map in the city because it's not even a map yet. So a lot of people were saying that this whole quotation that Loba's not coming to the Apex games, the Apex games are coming to Loba, meaning like when Revenant pulled off this when Revenant pulled all of this off with Loba's parents, it was not in the games. It was not in the map. It was like in a city. And so maybe like the new map could be that little city, that little background, considering the fact that they keep showing the little cutscenes throughout the window and no one knows why. Like, why did they just take the camera off Revenant and start showing a little clip of them moving out towards the window and showing the city? There didn't really seem like much of a reason to, unless maybe it was a small little tease to a new map, but that's so far-fetched. It's not nowhere near as guaranteed as or even promising as what these Kings Canyon map updates look like to be. But it's all speculation, but there's a lot of possibilities with season 5.
Yeah. And going back to what I was talking about with World's Edge, I was thinking about, I've read into obviously pretty much every character's lore, and I just remembered, I've thought about this a little bit before, but it was back when I was doing like a lore video on her. I remembered that there is another sort of, I think there's like an underground thing that Wraith is looking for, like labs on like an IMC facility. And I know she said there was one more at some point, so maybe there's something like that on World's Edge. I just looked on my screen. I pulled it up. It's IMC detention facility. I don't know. There could be some sort of other thing like the labs on World's Edge maybe that could be added, or maybe it's discovered. Like, so we got the Harvester with season 4 obviously, and or with season 4. And that is obviously taking all the minerals and resources out of the planet, so it's destroying it even more and more. And throughout this whole season, I mean, it's got to destroy it a little more. So there's already cracks and everything, so maybe it's like going to open up and show something else. That, I don't know. That's just something I thought of.
That's true, yeah.
It's possible, man.
Conspiracy theory.
I mean, that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Like, it could be this, it could be that. Like, who knows?
Everyone's got their foil hats on right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just thought of something about season 5, and maybe the reason, besides the fact of the pandemic, of why Respawn is so stressed out about getting season 5 released on by the date that it's supposed to. It could be the fact that they're adding a new map. That could be something that, again, this is conspiracy theories. I got my tinfoil hat on, but that could be a reason.
I mean, at this point, anything could happen. But, I mean, there were a few other leaks that came along with the Old Ways event. I'm pretty sure you had one that you wanted to talk about, Miles?
Yeah, there are some things that could be coming that I wanted to kind of get Loot's opinion on, because this is something a lot of pro players have been asking for, at least to try it out and see how it goes. So you guys know that the last update, we had a lot of good things come out with the Evo Shield. The Evo Shield is now a lot easier to get the purple, and even a little bit easier to get the red armor. So it makes the Evo Shields a little bit more viable and ranked. And so there was also some leaked files out that Loot had posted on his Twitter that showed some things such as this battle armor where you could spawn with level 1 armor and pistols, and then there were also some other things, I think, like spawning with level 2 armor and pistols. I'm not really sure what all of those mean, but could this mean that I'm just asking Loot this question, could this mean in the future, maybe even season 5, that they might try to incorporate automatic Evo shields, like spawning with Evo shields and pistols, kind of like you see in Call of Duty Warzone right now?
Yeah, so the code actually says battle armor level 1, and then it names them off all the way up to Evo. And then it says battle armor level 1 description, spawn with white armor and pistols, and then the next level spawn with blue armor and pistols, purple armor, and then evolving armor and pistols.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if this is actually referring to a game mode or a PvE. Or not, excuse me, not PvE, LTM. I don't know if it's referring to an LTM, but that would be my guess as most likely, since the Evo armor kind of already put a squash to a lot of those kind of questions of, well, what if we just had an armor and you didn't have to think about it and you just, played the whole game with that, whatever. But like you said, everyone's been asking about, okay, what if we spawned with a white armor? Would that help? Mm-hmm. Because like you guys made a good point with the time to kill in one of our podcasts. So maybe this is going to be their answer and their way to test it out, but it's most likely going to be an LTM. And it's been added to the file where it's going to be coming up soon. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
As an LTM?
I don't know if it's going to be an LTM. It's in the file where things are like lined up to come out.
But that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to say, oh, it's an LTM. Like, that doesn't mean we're going to get it. Like, the LTM is most likely their test to see how it works and how it actually performs in game. I think the Evo armor, the Evo shield, wasn't even in ranked at first. They tested it out.
They tested in the LTM.
Yeah, they tested it in LTM. It worked out, so they brought it. So this LTM could be a good thing. They could, if it all works well, then we could be getting maybe this as a permanent patch in the future. So we'll just have to wait and see how that works. I definitely would love to see something like that. I think it would help a lot. But once again, we'll just have to wait and see how it all performs. But moving on to the last little thing of the podcast, we have a new segment that you guys have asked for time and time again. And so we finally brought it. We thought it would be really good for the podcast. So we're going to go through we have 5 SquadCast questions that we have from you guys. And we just want to kind of give our short little answer so we can answer more questions each podcast. And so we appreciate all of your questions. If you want to be in the next one, all you got to do is comment down below, #questions, and you can get a shout out on the actual podcast that we do here on YouTube and Spotify. By the way, we haven't mentioned it quite yet, but if you guys are listening on YouTube, we also do this on Spotify, where you guys can get the link down in the description below. You guys can actually hear these podcasts a day early, 24 hours early usually. So this is a quick little bonus there, just in case you guys didn't know. But moving on to the first question we have from Sky Wars, and he asked, what if they buffed Octane's jump pad by giving him a level 2 ultimate that shoots you high enough to get a redeploy of 100 meters? We kind of talked about this a little bit. And I believe that this is a really good buff for Octane. I think he definitely needs one. So let me know what you got. What do you guys think about this?
I'm not 100% sure about it, because of the fact that if you think back, it's kind of hard for me since there's been so many different characters leaked. But I know there is one character that is supposedly leaked and is supposedly coming like season 6 or season 7. Who knows? But it's this person, he or she is called Valk, and she is basically a air type legend, I guess. Like, she has VTOL jets or whatever, and one of her abilities in the files is like shooting directly up into the air and like redeploying. So
wow, that would be so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe they would give some sort of thing like that, like Skywars said, to Octane. But I think when they're going for that type of effect or play style as a character, they're going to probably keep that more towards a different character entirely for Octane. But that's just my opinion.
I think I know Octane needs a buff, and we talked about that earlier in the podcast, but I think having the jump pad to redeploy teammates, that's kind of like, it sounds pretty overpowered to me. That sounds like kind of crazy, but
I don't think it would be overpowered. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, actually, I
don't
even know.
It depends how it would work.
So moving on to the next question. This is definitely one I want to hear Lute's opinion on. The Daniel Who actually asked, how about instead of Mirage having only decoys of himself, he could make decoys of his teammates as well? For example, if you have a Wraith on your team, you can make a Wraith decoy, or a Gibby, you can make a Gibby decoy. So I think that would be really cool. I think it would kind of mix it up a little bit, so you never really know who's a decoy and who's not, because I think right now Mirage's decoy is just so easy to predict. So definitely interested to hear Lute's opinion on it, since he loves Mirage.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the buffs that I discussed also. I think it's a great idea. However, how would you implement it on the spot? Like being able to shoot, do you have to scroll through the different characters on your team or what? That would be the only thing I would really want to think about. But we've seen the glitch before where you could actually play Mirage and then glitch into Gibby and shoot out Gibbies or, different characters.
Yeah.
And so we kind of know what that looks like. And I did it for a while, and I would go around running as Gibby and shoot Gibbies across the map. And I got to tell you, it fooled a ton of people, but that's because no one expects it. So I think eventually we would figure it out, just like we have with Mirage, and everyone would realize, oh, hey, this Gibby's just running in a straight line. I'm not going to shoot this guy. Where's his teammate? It's not running with them. Things like that. You start to realize it. I really want like a way better rework for him. So I'm hoping that's coming. We know that a buff is coming for Mirage, and I expect it to be at the start of season 5. So only a few weeks away. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be nice to have. I think one thing they could also implement is allowing the decoys to mantle things. So instead of running into a little bump and they just stand still, like they should be able to auto mantle small little hills and things that they can so it looks like that they're actually mantling and actually running and things like that. So that would be probably cool and probably throw a lot of people off, I think. But
moving on to the next question. Shout out to Keon Preston. Shout out to you, homie. He says, #question, does what Respawn did to Forge make you think that we may not get Loba and get someone like Blisk? Let me know your guys' thoughts on that.
I think that they're definitely going to bring Loba. She's much more finished, and we've already got these teasers of her being in game. I think that's a lot more promising than what Forge was. Forge was kind of on the spot, came out of nowhere, and I think, obviously giving Loot props here. I think data miners in general, since the start of Apex, have done a good job of predicting the next legend. And I just didn't see Forge getting, I didn't really see Respawn, getting one up on Loot there, with Forge kind of throwing them off. I really did think that Loot had it figured out and that Forge was just kind of like a little decoy. And so I'm pretty convinced that we got it right again. Loba will definitely be the next one. It makes more sense because they kind of teased her at the end of season 4 trailer, and makes sense as to why we'd be getting her now. So I think it's most definitely Loba, and it just makes a lot more sense to me.
Well, so the one thing that happened with Revenant is that I had code that confirmed Revenant as this season's character, and then I had code confirming Loba. And then when they added Forge, they didn't adjust that code. The code still remained there saying, hey, this person's coming next, and the next person's there. So I was skeptical to begin with, and they had code in the file that would literally say season 4 equals Forge. I'm like, okay, you guys have never done that. That's really sus. And then they had these like images only. They didn't have any models. They didn't have anything that links to Forge coming. So I think, and I have talked to some developers about this. I think that they pulled the fast one, and they think that they did really well. But I was suspect the whole time. I had like guaranteed people that Revenant was season 4. People were mad at me when they thought it would be Forge, and then it ended up being Revenant, like I suspected. So Loba's coming. Loba's guaranteed coming. Yeah. They wouldn't create a model without releasing the character. They didn't create a model for Forge. They just created graphics. A model takes a lot of work. She's coming.
Yeah.
Wow. So you think that they were actually trying to trick you with the season 4 equals Forge? Like, did they actually?
Wait. We know for a fact they did. They said in an interview they were doing that. So
I mean, they even told me privately. They're like, we were laughing about how you guys were arguing with each other about whether it's fake code or not, because another data miner was saying, oh no, they wouldn't have time to put fake code in and fake graphics. That's not true. And I was like, dude, this looks very fake to me.
Yeah.
And it turns out it definitely was fake.
That's funny. That's super funny.
So Loba's coming. Loba's coming.
Yeah, Loba's 100% coming.
Fool me once, shame on you. And I forget the rest.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah, high five.
But and just one last question. We kind of already answered it, so we don't have to go really too much in detail. But I don't want to leave you out. And that's Brotastic 5454 just asked basically if they were to bring an Octane buff into season 5, what do we think we should do? And we definitely have already covered this. We've talked about his jump pad. We talked about maybe an update to his passive, I think Seth was talking about. So there's a lot of potential. The first thing they can do is just start off by fixing his hitbox. But I think his ultimate could be reworked quite a bit, and maybe even see his passive. But thank you guys so much for your questions. Once again, if you guys want to be on the next one, all you got to do is comment down below #question and leave us your question, and we're going to pull about 5 or so questions so that we can do this on a segment where we can talk about all the questions, so that way we can cover more and you guys can be featured in more episodes. So if you want to do that, make sure to just follow those directions by doing the #question down below. And so I think that's all we have for today. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. That's all that we had planned. And so if you guys enjoy enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the SquadCast channel if you want to see some more podcasts. And don't forget, there will be a link down in the description below where you guys can go listen to it on Spotify a day early. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. And we're also talking about some future prizes and stuff, and maybe some even scavenger hunts about the future for Spotify, so that you guys can be more intrigued. So we have a lot of plans for the SquadCast podcast, and we hope you guys are continuously enjoying it, and we appreciate your continuous support as we continue to press on. So let us know down in the comments how you're enjoying it, and once again, leave us your questions, and we will get to them in the next episode. And I think that's going to be it. We'll see you guys.
Wait.
We got something to tease.
I forgot about this.
There might be a little hacker that we're gonna have on next episode.
Somebody's hacking into the SquadCast podcast, so we hear.
Wait, what? This is the first time I've heard about that. Oh no!
Someone broke in and they hacked their way into the SquadCast. And the next episode might be really special, guys, and we'll make sure you turn on the notification bell on YouTube and follow on Spotify so you don't miss it, because you guys are really going to enjoy it. And this person is really cool dude, and I think everyone here can attest that it's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be
most definitely.
And let me tell you, he's a good hacker.
Yeah, sorry to be really cryptic about it, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
All right, it's been your boys at the SquadCast, and we out. Bye.
Peace.
Bye, guys. Subscribe. We're close to 10K. Peace.